Ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman I'm getting on, namulaba ndoza emyaka wachiringa kumye mabega. I was working on a certain radio station, actually FM, and this man comes with so much interest in working on radio, and by God's grace, he got that opportunity and actually excelled. Beyond radio, James Proper Kalisa is a Ugandan digital music expert, working with Content Connect Africa as the East African Territory Manager, taking care of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda branches. He also works with as an African music editor at Tidal Music Streaming, a DSP, digital service provider in that case, a service started by American rapper Jay-Z. You know that guy and you know that platform. James is also a freelance music analyst and radio host. I think you'll see him on different medias speaking about, I think this is his passion, he will tell us about that. He's also an activist for environmental protection and conservation. Ladies and gentlemen, your hands together for James Proper Kalisa for his presentation.
God is good.
All the time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Proper Kalisa, as he has said. It's such an honor to see the man that actually gave me the opportunity to work on media, to be the same man that is introducing me this evening. If it wasn't for Press Link, probably you guys would never have seen me if you didn't give me that chance at Dembe FM. So the chance here I chose Oblamu Gwange, and I'm very grateful for that. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance, but guys, just join me to thank you. So everything that I've been able to do has been partly because of the chance that he gave me to work in media. I started out at Dembe FM, that's 2010, as I was joining university, and a few years later, I had to leave. I joined Connect Africa as their territory manager for East Africa. In 2015, I joined Tidal Music Streaming, where I work as a music editor. And yeah, I'm glad for the last, how many years? 7 years. It's been amazing. I'll be announcing my next step soon, that is actually going to be big. And the good news about it is, I'm going to be working in the gospel industry. I did see this coming, but God is good. Probably at the end of the month, you guys will get the news. Yeah, I'm very passionate about music. I'm very passionate about digital music. I realized there was a gap in the digital music space in Uganda. When I stepped out at Connect Africa, our primary business is caller tunes, which is like the baby step of digitalizing music. But then I realized there was a huge gap. There was a lot of information that was missing in the industry. So I decided to take it upon myself to talk about digital music. And I'm glad that at least now, for example, when I joined Tidal in 2015, at least with the catalogs, by catalogs I mean the music that is old, we had about 60% or close to 50% of the music was on, but 40 to 50% was off. And I'm happy to announce that now, at least probably 80 or 90% of the old catalogs have all been put online. And it's not just for Tidal, it's for Spotify, it's for iTunes, it's for Apple Music, Boomplay, and everywhere. Because you use one distributor to get your music out to all the DSPs or digital streaming platforms. Yeah, the question is, I want to read this. Unfortunately, I just can't get it clearly. But the gospel industry. The gospel ministry versus the mainstream industry, which I also think is a mainstream ministry. Because not all music that is in the mainstream is bad. It's talking about nyash. It's talking about all these crazy things. Some of that music is actually positively impacting in society. So can they fit into one basket? First of all, I want us to define the word mainstream. Mainstream. Let me say River Nile. River Nile is the mainstream. That's where all the much water is. That is where all the wild animals will go to to feed. Then, gospel music, what can we call it? Do we call it a counterculture? Do we call it a small stream? Do we call it a feeder stream? What do we call it? I want to think that these are just words coined by people who just want to, drive their own agendas. These are words that are coined by people who want to make us feel that the music they are doing is everything that we should be listening to. If you followed the hip-hop industry and how it grew in influence, it just turned 50 years. I remember at the Grammys there was actually a performance celebrating 50 years of hip-hop music. But with the influence of hip-hop music, with some artists actually being billionaires at this time, who would have thought that hip-hop would have made it, being a black genre, being a genre done on the street, would have thought that it would have been the main genre of the world by now. So these are just things that people put in our minds. These are words that people put in the minds of gospel artists to make them feel less of themselves. If we all stood up and said gospel music is also mainstream, then definitely we can make a difference. This is one of the reasons why I decided, when I got this opportunity to work in the gospel industry, when I got it, I was like, and it's going to be on the African continent. It's a continental role. I was like, God, so I'm leaving the WizKids and everybody else and I'm going into the gospel music. But I was like, if I've been able to fight to digitalize Ugandan music, then I can fight to ensure that gospel music on the African continent can also become mainstream. I remember last year, I think it was November or December, when a gentleman from Nigeria came here. His name is Limo Blaze. I don't know if some of you guys know him. Limo Blaze had sold out a show at the same place, I'm not so sure, but I think it's at the same place that the next biggest Ugandan artist, Azawi, also had a show, and it sold out. So you want to tell me that's not mainstream? You want to tell me we cannot compete? You want to tell me gospel music cannot compete? Levikson, it was November which date? I can't remember the date very well. He sold out Kololo Airstrip. You want to tell me that's not mainstream? You want to tell me that's counterculture? There's actually a word I found on the net here. That's off the wall or far out content. If he can sell out Kololo Airstrip, where even some of the biggest artists are scared to go there, those that you call mainstream. So I just think that we need to come out and the artists need to believe in themselves. They need to believe in their content. They need to believe in what they produce. They need to listen to what people call mainstream. You're not listening to it that the no. Listen to them. Hear the sound. Understand where the sound is. I've been in a club where I had just joined the FM. Club Silk. Nenge singo kunyumira ulimbaro gospel luberanga lukuteyo. Baluzanya mu club ekirokusawa munana. Can't the gospel industry at least have 2 songs every quarter that can play at 3 a.m. in the night in the clubs? And to tell you guys, and as I'm walking around, I see gospel artists. Some of them actually drinking. But when they come out in the day, they want to say to be, they don't want to be part of that. Guys, if you're going to change anything, you're supposed to be part of that system. I remember when we were talking about, when there was a conversation of Save Uganda music that led to the birth of things like UMA, revamping UPRS and everything. One of the things that I always said was, guys, if you feel UPRS is not serving you right, then the best way you can change UPRS is actually going and becoming part of UPRS, then you can fight it from the inside. And I still stand by the same. If you feel something is not right in society, if you feel you want to change the way the roads are in your society, then the best way you can do that is going out and standing to join the system. Otherwise, shouting and being outside the system will not change anything. So if we want gospel music to actually shine, then we have to go out, make sure that we use the same producers. Let's use the same videographers. Let's have the same beat. If it's an Afrobeat, let's have the same Afrobeat. The one that, what's his name? Baro. The same beat that Baro does, and does all the obscene words on it, we should do the similar sound. Because this is what the audience wants. And music, in a way, you need to influence the audience if they are going to follow what you're telling them. So, I actually think if the artists, if the managers, if the pastors come out and understand that to fight mainstream content, to get into that space, to have the gospel artists shining like their counterparts that we call mainstream, then we have to do the things like they do them. That is the only way we're going to influence this audience. The tools that we have, they're for us all. I've seen in the Grammys where everybody was like, Eddie Kenzo, oh, we are behind you. Eddie Kenzo built his career. In 2014, he got a big chance to get nominated for the BETs. How did he do it? He used social media. Our gospel artists also have the same tools. They can use the same tools to influence and drive this audience. So, yes, I believe we are already in the same basket, but we just pull ourselves out and say, no. We are gospel artists. We are not competing with those guys. You are competing with those guys. In some markets, like in Kenya, gospel music is more influential than secular music. Actually, I'll not call it mainstream. Gospel music is more influential than secular music. So why do we think that our music cannot be, the gospel artists cannot compete with the so-called mainstream artists? Let me talk about the DSP side, because this is the future. The future of music is streaming. I know people like Watamuze here, Mr. Ekongoit, they are working hard to ensure that Ugandan music can benefit the artists again. And I believe one of those ways is for Ugandans to stream that music. So if Ugandans are going to stream that music, then we need to fight and ensure that we have playlists that are focused on Uganda. We need to fight that Ugandan music is getting playlisted in African playlists, so that it's not just Nigerians. So I've seen some efforts being taken by DSPs, digital streaming platforms, specifically for the C and G section, which we call the Christian and Gospel. That's how we call it in streaming. They are appointing artists and label partnerships managers specifically for Christian and Gospel. I mean, that's my next job. And you want to tell me this thing cannot work? So, if there are all these opportunities where DSP is actually coming up and creating these opportunities for artists, then we simply have to embrace them. Before you release a song as a gospel artist, don't just release it next to your church. Your church has 5,000 people at most. But social media has 4 million Ugandans or 5 million Ugandans. So why are you releasing your song on the church? Guys, this is business. It has to go beyond your church. Go out, put it on the streaming services. Make sure you maximize your social media numbers. Build your social media. TikTok is now the thing that promotes music. The biggest songs in Uganda right now, many of them are coming through TikTok. We have over 10 artists between last year and this year that have come through TikTok. I can mention them. Victor Ruse, Young Voice, Unknown, Viruta. I mean, there are so many. These guys are making a life because they maximize their social media numbers. You can still do content that is legit, that is acceptable in the Christian space, but you have to go out there, be creative and fight for it. Once we fight for that, once we maximize the opportunities, then we shall be able to compete favorably with the secular artists. Let's talk about my core business, Collar Tunes. The last report that we sent out, I'm sorry, madam, I have to say this. One of our top sellers is actually an artist who does songs that everybody else misses. She does medleys, she does Tukute, songs like that, and she gives us that content on Collar Tunes. Her name is Naki Julian. She's organizing an event at Serena Hotel. When she got her invoice paid, she could not believe it. It was good money. So I believe if we tap into these opportunities, if you become creative, use these platforms, use these opportunities, then you can also have a smile when your kids are going back to school, when you have a concert at Serena and you're not sure how you're going to pull it off. Some of these things like Collar Tunes can actually help you make a bit of money out of it. She made more than 10 million. It's not every day that you see an artist making 10 million plus in Collar Tunes. We understand there is an entire fight that is going on. I'll not call it a fight. There is an engagement that is going on to see that there is a fair share going to the artists. So even when the share seems unfair, an artist like Naki Julian, I don't know if you guys know any of her, like new music that is buzzing or not, but if she can make money that is more than $3,000 in a quarter, then I believe there is opportunity there. If we communicate the music that is universal, the Lord's Prayer, things that are universal, things that touch everyone, not just things that touch your church members. Another example is Levixon. He's doing very well with streaming and everything and the concerts. Why is Levixon successful? Why is he considered a mainstream artist? The thing I told you about sound. He understands that he has to be part of the system. He has to do music with Atin, with Nesim, like the secular guys are doing. And it's working for him. He's holding a successful concert every year, and he only releases like 2 or 1 song each year. He's not really under any pressure because he knows the content that he's doing is universal and cuts across abalokole n'abatali balokole. Zikira mkwano gwa Pastor Bujingo simanyi oba akyakyogerera ennaku zino, but I remember nga Prince Nick bamulese ku ddembe awo yagamba nga yazze okusaba n'abalokole n'abatali balokole. How many years? 13 years later, he's still the top trading pastor in the country, amidst all the challenges that he has faced in the past. So, if you can your content can cut across to the mainstream, then you can make it. So, some of the things that I feel we need to understand, and it's a call out to the pastors, to the labels, charism, please, let's embrace liberalism. Liberalism is what helped hip hop. Liberalism is what helped Afrobeat be where it is now. You see, Thames, a small girl from Lagos, has a Grammy just 3 years after she was detained at Chigo prison. Why? Because there is willingness. The world is ready to listen to whatever we give them as long as it rhymes with the current vibe. Please don't give me the vibe of the 1970s simply because but no, things are supposed to change. So why do we think that a studio pastor So let's think openly about that, and just talking about Afrobeat. Afrobeat is like the main genre right now. Do you guys know how old Afrobeat, the word Afrobeat, how old it is right now? No. Afrobeat are 1970s. But the word Afrobeat only comes into play in April 2011. DJ Abranti in the UK on Choice FM with his radio show, he comes up and says, I don't know what to name this, but I'll name it Afrobeat. I know those words are bad, but just to give us an insight of what. So, if we go with the vibe war, then it's the best way we can grow gospel music. They'll not give you money, they'll judge you, they'll tell you you're they'll tell you ABCDE. But if you want to get the respect that Levickson has right now, then you have to come out and embrace the culture that is current. At least at the end of this year, we have artists that are playing in the bars at 3 a.m. Kubanga is the best way of putting it. Waliwo omwana gwe bagenda okufulumya ekiro ekyo bamutwale probably afiiremu n'obulwadde naye ate gwogamba olina kuwulira ali mu church ekiro yasuze mu bbaala. So let's talk to these people correctly. Some of the other solutions as I wind up, we need to be willing to change. Secondly, we need to maximize the channels, maximize digital, maximize social media, maximize all these nice platforms, so that we can compete with the mainstream guys or the secular guys. Then the other thing that I feel is very important in growing the way the content actually moves is collaboration. I believe Techiri Mustani could be blind waking up na oluyimba ne Grenade Official or na oluyimba ne Chameleon. Techiri Mustani. But when you collaborate, you share energy. So instead of collaborating, instead of inbreeding, I think inbreeding is bad. Inbreeding, tosobola kwagala sister wo jini zibera zigenda kola ki koononeka. I think you remember the history of Egypt and Takamantun. So collaboration, when gospel artists start to work with the secular guys, you share their numbers. By natural, so if gospel artists start to work with them, then they can share part of that energy, and gospel music can be pushed to greater heights. Then, lastly, let's think about the content that gospel artists are making. Which producers are they using? Are they using the producers that are trending right now? Mugenda wanne simu na ati nyo bamucha agenda simanyi wa producer gundi bwe tutamanyi na kumanya. Aina software omukadde, ebyuma bikadde. He's not trying to make himself better. Nero akwamugamba nti munnanga nti inakola na bantu ba Katonda. Ne bali nawo bantu ba Katonda kuba yabatonda. So go out, work with the producers, abakabi abaliko, go out, mukole videos, never sasha vibes. Ngaba pastor we bavuga Range Rover Sport. Kulwaki oluyimba lutolufaana na Range Rover Sport? Okiraba? Pastor gamba alina okubeera ng'ekifaananyi kye reflecting ekisa kya Mukama. Kati ate oluyimba lwokoza abantu bagenda okuwuliriza, do just the opposite. So go out, mukole nyimba ne ba songwriters abakabi, ba producers abakabi, ba videographers abakabi. It's the only way. But me, I believe we are already part of the mainstream, because I've seen people like Judith Babidia in 2010 kola chini ya kola 1 billion shillings luyimba lwa mama. So if that song could make a gross of 1 billion Uganda shillings, why not us today? Why aren't we beating those? Why aren't we beating those trends that were set by those people? Judith Arena Canada right now, but no artist is really trying to beat that. Thank you very much.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that is Kalisa James Walker for you. Obugalo. And obviously, I can't give you a and then a camp motivation. Those are gospel artists who are Okawida. Although they sit Kudamu, Mukubia Gete, Japango Mango,
using their music. Now, once you make that choice and you say, okay, I'm not doing my hobby singing, or I'm not doing music just for ministry, for the purpose of only serving God, but I also want to monetize my music and create some influence out there that makes me a professional artist. Then you have to appreciate certain dynamics that inform the concept of fitting into the industry. These dynamics include certain basic realities. That one, if you're going to record a song, you want to seek out the best producer. Like James Proper said, you want to seek out the best studios, or you want to perform at the best stage, and you want to be a part of a wider community that has more impact, has more influence in a way that is going to make your career meaningful from a commercial perspective. Now, once these considerations are a reality or in your decision making, then the lines that separate secular and gospel, these all start to blur, and it doesn't really matter. Because in the end, we're all trying to tick the same boxes. We are trying to, one, get people to hear our music. It doesn't matter whether you are gospel or secular, you have to make some marketing decisions. So I want to see that you need to approach this from the fact that you are trying to put something out there, and you need to be consistent with the fundamentals of marketing. You need to create a great product, which means whether you're a gospel artist or not a gospel artist, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And then two, if you're trying to fit it into the bigger industry, like from the context of the Uganda Musicians Association, we are a part of a structure, the structure of the country in which we are as the umbrella body of the music industry. We are also part of another umbrella body of the cultural industries or the creative industries. For example, where we are part of the National Culture Forum. When you are trying to fit into these structures, they don't care whether you're a gospel artist or you're a secular artist, you're just an artist. And when you start walking that journey, these subsector divisions, these genre divisions that separate this or that, they really don't matter. You just need to be able to fit in. If you don't fit in, then you're left out. So as we walk this journey, you find that the things that bring us together, most of the time, they are founded on neither moral values or the basics that separate us, but they are founded on the desire, for example, to succeed. To succeed, you have to have quality music, you have to have work with quality people, and these quality people, they don't choose to say, oh, because I am the best, I must be a gospel artist, I must be that. It really doesn't matter. So my point is that there's been so much fuss about these distinctions, but in the grand scheme of things, they don't really matter. As a gospel artist, you should focus on the basics, which is excellence. If you want to be an excellent artist, if you put out great music, and if it's very important to you to also influence your audience with your values, your moral values, your religious values, then do it in an excellent way. I mean, when we listen to some of the top artists in the gospel sector, like Levikson, or the example of what James Proper mentioned here, usually we are not thinking whether they are gospel or not. All people hear is that's an awesome song, and I love it. They don't care. A great song is a great song. Yes, it's important to protect your moral values. It's important to protect your religious values. Yes, but these are not the driving factors that push your excellence. So I'm not saying that's not important, but I'm saying let's focus on the things that matter the most. If you want to succeed, tick all the basic boxes that form a template of success. In the case of music, create great music, put together great marketing strategies that allow people your music to reach people, and these little things that separate us, in the long run, you'll find that they don't really matter. Some of the famous gospel artists, even in the US, that have influenced, for example, Uganda, like Kirk Franklin in the past, we enjoyed it in the clubs and we didn't really care whether he was a gospel artist or not. It was great music first. It was all the famous gospel artists. We have never really, the public doesn't really care whether they are this or that. So I think there's a degree of pettiness that we invest so much time in that doesn't add value to the bigger picture in our pursuits. And I think we should not dedicate so much time to it. In between, the things that matter individually to us, I mean, we're all different, and some people choose to eat food a certain way, other people choose to do things in a certain way, but in the end, it's the bigger picture that we're all trying to pursue. We're all trying to be successful, and gospel artists should not waste too much time in trying to focus on the nitty-gritty that divides us, but should focus on creating excellent music, and then we will figure out whether this one is a gospel artist or not a gospel artist. If you have great music and it's well infused with your Christian values in there, you position yourself as a person with a strong moral character that you think can be an influence to the public, even to non-Christian community. You can do that. That's just your choice, but do the right thing. That's my 2 cents on this subject. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jeff for you. A big hand for him. Just do good music. Then we shall tell whether you're a gospel artist or not. I noted that. I don't know whether you know what you actually say. It is a big statement. A very big statement. It has profound meaning. I hope you meant what I also mean here.